On.
Okay.
Oh shit. Andy, again, thanks for coming.
Yeah, no problem.
Nice to have you
Thanks for
here.
having me on. Yeah, it's great, no problem.
Mr. Knight Rider.
Oh, I know, love the show. Absolutely
Yeah.
great. Yeah, he's one of my favourite shows back in the 80s.
Yeah.
I said before, back in the early 80s, here in the UK, we only had about 4 channels on TV. And 2 of those were offbeat channels. So you had to watch either what was on BBC or ITV, which is now ITV1. But you had one ITV channel back in those days. And we had this influx from about 83 onwards, or some shows a bit earlier, of all these American action shows, and we'd never had anything like it before. And really took the audiences by storm. We had Knight Rider, the A-Team, Magnum PI, The Fall Guy, Airwolf, Street Hawk, that's just to name a few, but they were the most popular ones.
Yeah.
And I think it's safe to say that the A-Team and Knight Rider were the big hitters out a lot.
Were they all like worldwide shows, were they?
Massive hits, massive shows all over the world. People love those shows.
Yeah.
But obviously one of my favourite, I love the A-Team, and Knight Rider was one of my favourite shows. It was all the high-tech car, we had the Trans Am and all the rest. It was such a unique style of show.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed that. And,
yeah, like, as I said before, I'm like quite surprised at how big of a show it still is as well. Like, so when like me and you like have been talking about it, and like you've been telling me these facts and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, so I've been having a look as well, but like there's so many like recent like videos still on YouTube of Knight Rider and stuff.
Yeah.
It's constant, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's like there's a whole big Knight Rider channel, and it's
there's
like they're constantly being uploaded. Stuff for that,
there's 2 main channels I think on YouTube. One just shows lots of clips.
Yeah.
And you've got the Knight Rider historians who go into all the history of the show, and they've got screen used vehicles and screen used props, and they go into painstaking research to authenticate all the information they put out on their channel. At the moment they're restoring the screen used semi-truck. That was a massive project, but they're getting there. So they've got all these vehicles, all these props, access to Universal's archives, records, everything. So they've got a lot of stuff, a lot of followers on their channel.
Oh yeah, I'd imagine it's quite hard to get like access to all that sort of stuff, isn't it?
Because I've been into that sort of thing for quite a few years now.
Yeah.
But it must be difficult to do that. But as they're known within the Knight Rider world,
yeah, like once you get into it, I'd imagine like once you start getting a bit of a following doing it, then like it's probably easier to get access to all this.
Yeah.
Like catalogue stuff, isn't it?
Because they're in the right country, it's over there in America.
Yeah.
More difficult over here.
Oh, of course, yeah, because you've got to. Because there's not going to be like really much around here, is there? Unless someone's had it, unless someone's bought it and had it shipped over.
Yeah.
Like, do they have any cars in this country?
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, there's 5 screen used cars in existence.
Yeah.
One, as far as I know, is over here somewhere. The full-time convertible kit from Series 4 is in the Dieselland Museum in Florida. The Knight Rider historians have 2 screen used cars I'm aware of, as well as a semi-truck.
Yeah.
I can't remember where the 5th one is. But there was 5 cars, because they had only a handful of cars to start the series with. I mean, the producer of the show's creator, Glenn Larson, always maintained that he had the first 3 1982 Trans Ams off the assembly line to film the pilot. But the Knight Rider historians managed to prove that this wasn't the case, because the VIN numbers on the cars used did not match the VIN numbers that first came off the assembly line. Because the first 82 Trans Ams came off in November 81. The pilot script wasn't written till early 82. And the first 3 cars didn't get picked up till I think end of March 82. And they take them off to the studios, turn them into kit. And the first film was the pilot presentation, which was done at the end of April. They had to film so many scenes for the pilot. Yeah. And put them into like a presentation to show NBC to see if they wanted to buy the show. Well, of course, NBC was happy about that, so they'd buy the show. But they didn't resume filming the pilot and continue with the series for quite a few months. It was around July, August time, 82. So there's a bit of a gap, a few months. But in that time, they redesigned parts of the kit car, like the front bumper and the voice modulator. And so when you watch the pilot, it's easy to see which scenes were pilot presentation, because when you see the front of kit, which is virtually similar to almost same to a stock Trans Am front bumper with a very thin scanner bar, that's pilot presentation. When you see the car that we all recognise and with a different front bumper, the fog lights and grills and the deeper scanner bar, which is set further back, that was the modified version, which was done later on. That's the style they stuck with. Because for years I always thought they'd use 2 different types of car in the show to see which one they preferred to use on screen. That's what I actually thought when I was growing up. But the fact it was, they'd done the pilot presentation, Then the guy who designed kit, Michael Chaffee, he redesigned all the front nose for when they refilmed 3 months later or whatever it was. And also the voice modulator took a bit of a revamp as well. So when it's viewed from the left in the pilot, it's a pilot presentation and it's slightly bigger. When it's viewed from the right, it looks slightly different. And it's the main square light that would flash for Kit's voice is a bit smaller with curved corners. That is the improved version for later on.
Oh, so it's all like noticeable changes.
Yeah, because when I first had the pilot, I missed the pilot when it was on back in '83. I didn't get to see it till it came out on VHS in '87. I used to watch this and I thought, well, why is it different from there to there, and why is the scanner different, the front nose different? I didn't realise back then that they'd obviously modified the car. They had a few months to change the look of the things and revamp it for when the series took off. So that's what it was done for the pilot. You do notice these changes. Even David Hasselhoff's hair changes. You've got short by his ears in pilot presentation, and the sideboards get longer for the rest of the episode, which was filmed August time. So it was a good few months later on. But they keep switching the scenes, so Kit looked different in one scene compared to another one. And the same again with the dashboard, and they revamped some of the dashboard as well. But in the early days, you see a dashboard close up, but you can see the front bezel on the voice modulator wasn't even fitted correctly, because when you're viewing from the passenger side of the car, the dashboard didn't even light up in some of the cars. It was just meant to be just like a mock-up. So they only had a handful of cars to start with. They had what they call the computer car, which is on with all the dashboard in, and you could see for close-ups. There's only David Hasselhoff who was allowed to drive that car. The stunt crew couldn't touch it for obvious reasons. They're stunt cars. Cars that were rigged up for high speed, cars for the jumps, the blind drive cars. But they only had a few cars to start with. And according to Jack Gill, I had one that had a nitrous system in it that was good for takeoffs. Another car could do 0 to 60 in just a few seconds. I thought they had the blind drive cars where you got the stunt driver hidden behind the driver's seat to make the car look like it was driving itself. But the blind drive seat in Series 1 was quite noticeably different to the passenger seat. They improved it for Series 2 onwards, but it was totally different.
They moved it to the passenger side, didn't they? So
later on in Series 3,
just jump straight into the car without any cutting.
Yeah, in Series 3 they had Jack Gill, he devised a right-hand blind drive car. But in the first series, the blind drive seat, which was in their driver's side, was noticeably different, with the gap in the headrest. Compared to the passenger side, so you could tell there was something going on there. But for Series 2, it was done a lot better. Slightly different shape, but it looked a lot more similar to the passenger seat as well. So it looked a lot more realistic.
So how did it work? When with all these stunt cars, then, because obviously, when they do these stunts and everything, the cars are going to get wrecked, aren't they? On some of the landings. What did they? Would they repair that car?
Yes, there was a lot of damage. To the
get
cars.
It back to normal again, and then eventually they'll go back to using it again, wreck it, repair it. It would just be a constant cycle of just repairing all these cars.
Damage and repair. Excuse me. Damage and repair. So the cars, particularly with the jumps, they did a lot of damage to those. But the cars then got but going through all. Excuse me. Got this cough.
No, that's fine.
They had this lot of damage to the cars, and they're being resprayed. Oh God.
Do you want a drink or anything?
Yeah, I need a drink. Yes. Okay. So the stunt cars received a lot of damage. Over time, all different kinds of damage, major damage, minor damage. They get repaired, and they were just resprayed. So those screen-used cars had layer after layer after layer of black paint put on those cars. Even the locks on the doors, which should be chrome, even though they were sprayed black.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just layer after layer. To the paint works like an orange peel effect. It was just multiple layers of black paint on the car.
It must have cost them a lot of money, really, then, wouldn't it? To constantly be repairing these cars and.
Oh yeah. Because you see some of the jumps they do, the cars are going to come down, and because they've dipped on the left-hand side because of the weight of the driver, they're going to hit the ground. That angle, they have to cut the scene obviously and film a new car driving off down the street or whatever. But in reality, when you watch the blooper reels online, the cars hit the ground and the front is completely obliterated, smashed to pieces, and the back end comes down, the spoiler's off, the back end all sags with the impact.
And some clips that you can see, the whole bonnet proper rippling and everything, can't you?
And they slow it up.
And that's with the driver inside. He must have had a few injuries from that, mustn't he?
Yeah, Jack
Didn't you
Gill,
say he had?
Yeah, he had to have a titanium plate, Jack Gill, put into his neck because of all the whiplash from those jumps. Because I think that's why from Series 2 onwards they brought in a model unit where they do the jumps with a miniature car. Company called Sessoms and Slagle would film all the model shots Back then, of course, had to recreate the whole set in miniature. Nowadays, you could just CGI the background in.
Yeah.
But whatever was in that location in shot, they would have to recreate that in miniature. The buildings, other vehicles, and this little 2-foot car of kit, which you could tell it was a model.
Yeah.
You know, doing the jumps, and they would cut that into the main footage. But yeah, there was a lot of damage to those cars, and also the damage to the stunt driver as well. Because I mean, the one jump I think was for me, the best in the whole series. One of the best jumps they ever did. It was an episode called A Nice Indecent Little Town, which I showed you that clip.
Oh, yeah.
Where Jack, he's jumped that car across the main street, and the speed he is going at, he's just flying across that street. When you look at that stunt, the danger that was involved, the risk involved with that. Because he's jumping from one alleyway, he's got to fly across the street and land in another alleyway, like a restricted landing space between two buildings.
Yeah, like the alleyway wasn't much a lot wider than the car, really, was it?
No,
it wasn't. Only had probably like that much on either side, didn't it?
Yeah, because they had a technical expert on location that day to look at all the layout for this jump, assessing the road and the alleyways, and he came back with the conclusion that the jump couldn't be done. It would never be able to happen. But Jack Gill said he'd do it anyway, so he jumped in the Trans Am and luckily made the jump successfully.
First time as well.
Yeah, I think.
Could have gone bad very well. It could have gone very bad.
Because obviously he's got to hit that ramp with absolute precision for takeoff. Because if he's hit it slightly the wrong angle, he's going to veer off course. And the only things that are opposite, it's not an open space; it's other buildings. Because you see when they put a camera crew in opposite building across the street, filming the landing coming in. Well, if that car had gone off course, he could have come straight through the shop window. But the speed he took off with that, and he's just flying across that street. There was it wasn't slow motion at all for dramatisation. It wasn't no special effects.
No, it was just
it all played out on 4 different cameras in real time, and they even put a camera on the car, which gives you a great point of view shot because you're going across the street with that car for a few seconds, and it does come into land more on its wheels, so it doesn't actually land on the front. It's the speed that went at.
It's the fact that like these stunts are actually done as well. Like there's no
for real, like
there's no like CGI effects where it looks real, but it's not real. Like they're all on like strings and stuff, and like they're flying the car through the air, which is like harnessed up on the strings.
No, it was all
like,
for real.
Yeah, like this stuff is. It was all done, wasn't it?
Yeah, all done for real. I said that's why.
And like they suffered. Like from that, didn't they? Obviously, Jack Gillabins had the
the plate put in his neck.
Plate in his neck. It shows that it was all serious, weren't they? If you know what I mean?
Yeah, as I said, I think that's one of the reasons they brought the model unit in to stop one, damage to the cars, and secondly the damage to all the injuries to the stunt driver as well. So even when he was driving in and out of the back of the truck, I mean that truck was going on the road at quite a brisk pace. He's got to drive in up the ramp. And the more difficult bit was reversing back out again because he'd only got 3 inches clearance either side of the door mirrors inside that trailer. And of course, according to Jack, he said the truck's going along at a good 40-50 miles an hour. He's reversing out down the ramp. So he's got to reverse down in neutral. Because if you stayed in reverse, when the back wheels, those cars are rear wheel drive, as soon as they touch the road surface and they go in the opposite direction to which way the truck's going, it's going to cause a kick. So you have to roll out in neutral.
And then he has to quickly switch his gears
and spin the car over an extra stunt. That was quite, I think, apparent in one of the episodes called Brother's Keeper, where the ramp's coming down, the car's there, and you can see the reverse lights are on. But at that point, the car hasn't self-activated. You then see the dashboard light up, then the gear shift moving to reverse. A bit of an error there. He goes outside, back outside the trailer, and he's coming down the ramp. The reverse lights are gone. Obviously, Jack's going to reverse down in neutral because the truck's going at a fair speed across the road. And he's got to reverse, just roll off the ramp extensions onto the road surface.
That's mad, isn't it? Were them stunts all done in that first trial? Did they take a few tries to get them? Get them right. I
don't know how many takes it took for those. But they must have obviously rehearsed the up and down the ramp to get that right. And I think just the rollout must have been done okay once they knew how to master it. They must have had a few tests, and I know people on YouTube try to rework that theory. Does this work? They've been rolling cars out of trucks that are moving across the road and things like that. So it's all been tested out since. The theories of it, does it work? Is it real?
And it does work.
But so towards the end of '82, they managed to acquire more cars because there was a train that was carrying Trans Ams and Firebirds to dealerships, and it got derailed. So all these cars were badly damaged. But it was Firebirds and Trans Ams what they were using on the show. So Universal managed to strike up a deal with General Motors and Pontiac to acquire these other cars, and they could take them off to their studios, turn them into more versions of kit, and they got more cars to play with.
Yeah.
But General Motors stipulated that these particular cars from the train wreck had to be destroyed when the show ended. They could never end up on the road.
Okay, so how many was there, do you know?
I don't know. I mean, there's quite a few cars. I don't know how many there were. But again, the show finished in '86, and all these different versions of the kit car, from super mode, blind drive cars, jump cars, whatever, all lined up on the Universal backlot. And it wasn't until '87 when they thought, well, we've got to get rid of these cars. They brought in a crane with a wrecking ball and actually dropped the hammer on these specific cars to destroy them, and then they were removed to be disposed of. But
it's a shame, isn't it? Like they've got like a big story behind all them cars, and the fact that they just get destroyed because
they're not road safe.
Yeah.
Because the cars would never end up on public roads. They were put on a car carrier, taken off to the location, used for the scene, then transported back to the studio.
Yeah.
But the cars that Universal owned outright, they were safe. They were not part of the train wreck. So I think that's the cars that are in existence today, or at least some of them.
What, and you say there's 5?
But if I'm aware there's 5, but I can't remember where the 5th one is. I know where 4 are, but I can't remember where the 5th one is. There's always a chance there's another car out there somewhere, but I don't think there will be.
Yeah. Like you know the scene where like Kit is on like these 2 wheels.
Oh, the ski mode, yeah.
And like then he drives it in like between the 2 people on the motorbikes, and
yeah.
Like, so is that all like really?
Yeah, the guy who did the skiing on the show was a guy called Buzz Bundy. He did all the skiing on Knight Rider, all the skiing on Duke's Hazzard, as far as I'm aware. Because if you look very closely, as the car's up on tilt, there's a steel bar on the top of the driver's door which he's got to hold on to keep him in place, because otherwise he'll fall down. And he's doing all that ski mode. So
I don't hit that. Like, it's quite a tricky stunt to like to keep your car up on the 2 wheels for that long. Yeah,
because remember those bikers, I think what they did to avoid the ramp, they're zooming on the car, you see the car lift and the camera can pan back so you don't see the ramp, so it all happens, looks realistic, the car tips up and just drives along. But I think the guy with the long hair in the leather jacket, I think that is Jack Gill dressed up.
Oh, is it?
From what I recall, I think it was Jack Gill. Don't know who the other guy was with the sunglasses on, but yeah, there's 2 of them. He went between the cars, but yeah, that was all done by a stunt guy called Buzz Bundy, who's known as the king of ski, he was known as.
So did he do it like any other stunts on the show, or did he only do the?
I don't know if he did any other stunts. I know he did all the skiing on the show. I think the skiing on the Duke's Hazzard, because their General Lee car would do that as well sometimes.
Yeah.
So he did all that. And I said, if you look really closely, you'll see him hanging onto this steel bar on the door, which has been clipped on.
Okay.
He's got to hang onto it, to keep himself in place.
Yeah. I'll have a look at that again. I want to see if we can spot that. And like they do races and everything. I like that now. Like doing the skiing. I saw a clip on YouTube. Like so people in like big massive Land Rovers and everything, and like they're doing like whole tracks on the 2 wheels, and like they'll be like driving for like 10 minutes on this 2 wheel. I think
on 4-wheel drives.
Yeah,
that's quite a thing to do.
Yeah, it obviously takes a lot of skill and obviously practice to master that.
You've got to get that right and get that lift right and stay in position, because otherwise you're going to topple over either way, aren't you? But that was another thing the car used to do, was ski mode. That was another good stunt they used to use. Didn't do it very often in the show. But
so I think I've only seen it the once, and that's in that bike scene where it goes between the 2 bikes, and they're both looking up. Like,
But it's in the pilot during the race. I know it's in season 3 as well. One of the episodes called Night in Disgrace. I can't remember if it does it in any other. I think there's a few other episodes as well. I can't remember the titles of them. There's one where what they've done. There's a couple of industrial earth moving equipment vehicles coming at Kit, and you see the car just tip up and reverse back ski mode. What they've done, they've just reversed the film.
Because
you can see the car sunk a bit with the impact of landing, and it lifts up and just reverses back. But it's got to do it. It's good.
It's like, 'cause you can't go backwards doing that, really, can you?
No, but obviously Kit could do anything, so yeah.
Oh yeah.
But so all the cars as well in the show were numbered, because all the cars were rigged up for different things. I think the stunt cars rigged up for high performance and things. So I think once they were rigged up, they didn't comply with emission regulations, but as the cars were never going to end up on public roads, they didn't have to worry about emissions. They just rigged them up with like the nitrous system or whatever to get the car to do what it wanted to. If it was filmed out in the desert somewhere on the Universal backlot, they're not on a public road. They could make that car do whatever they want.
And they did.
And of course, if the cars were numbered for the call sheet, so they knew what cars need to be sent to what location. Because, for example, you'll need the computer car or the dashboard in, so the HUF can pull up nice and close to the camera. If Kit's got then self-activate, you need the blind drive car. High-speed driving, you might need 1 or 2 other stunt cars for that. if the car's got a jump, you need a jump car. So for example, that's at least 5 cars got to be put on a car carrier and taken to the same location.
Just to do one.
To film the
scene.
entire sequence, yeah. That's why they numbered all the cars, partly why they numbered all the cars.
I would imagine it's all quite hard to sort of manage all that. Like, so there's all these cars, like, they all do different stuff. Obviously, like, numbering them, but it will obviously make it easier. But like, there's a lot like to remember, like, what these cars are for, aren't they?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Because all the cars were there's a number for that reason, or quite a few reasons. They keep a track on all the vehicles, but of course, with the way the cars were rigged to different things, they'd need specific cars, so they've got to number them. I think even some of the cars now have still got markings underneath that obviously not the Night Ride historians want to preserve, so they don't take the car out on the road. Yeah. It's trailered everywhere. Because you don't want to get those marks to fade off, it's all part of the car's history. Because it's only 40 years old and they've still got it looking in mint condition.
Oh yeah, like you want to keep it that way, don't you? You don't want to...
Well, they're irreplaceable.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Like, you're never going to get another screen used.
No.
Kit, are you? Like
no.
Lots of real one.
Lots of replicas around, which are still good, but they're not the screen used cars. But the replicas work in a way, work more as the car was seen to work in the show because they'd been rigged up with all the electronics. But the earlier cars couldn't do that.
Yeah, it was just all kind of show. Like, so all these buttons didn't actually do anything. Like, so I watched a video on someone who's got one of the replica ones. Like, every button in the car like does something. And I did think, like, surely, like, the real screen used ones, they wouldn't make all these buttons functional, would they?
No, there's something
because they don't need to be functional, do they?
No, since some of the early episodes, you can tell there's no overhead console. David Hasselhoff puts his thumb to press a button, but there's actually no buttons there. They put the sound of beeping buttons in, but there's no buttons up there. Yep. So as you'll see on the dashboard as well, they have the early dash. They have the 4 red buttons on the far end of it, which is the power button, the normal cruise, auto cruise, and the pursuit buttons. Yeah. In one of the early episodes, when the Huff's trying to replay a video on the screen, he pressed actually one of those buttons for instant replay. Obviously, he's pressed the wrong button, so he doesn't realise at that early stage of the show what the buttons are actually meant for. He's presses one of those buttons, but it's not a replay button at all. Okay. Yeah, because they're looking for a video footage on somebody in a car. It's punching instant replay, and presses one of these red buttons. Well, those 4 red buttons are nothing to do with video playback at all. And one of the other dashboards they had was where they it was no buttons at all. It was all different colour stickers, which you'd never see up close. Yeah. It was like what they call like a sticker dashboard. You'd see it from a distance, and all these multicoloured stickers across the dashboard would emulate the buttons, but they weren't actually buttons at all. It was just all brightly coloured little red, green, yellow stickers.
Oh, so it was just all for show then, was it?
A lot of the early cars just had, apart from the main car, which had the main dashboard in, the others were just mock-ups, or they were put on top of the stock dashboard. And taped down with gaffer's tape. You actually see sometimes the gaffer's tape starting to bubble up on the early days. Right. Yeah. They used to put gaffer tape on some around the front bumper as well, where they've received damage. They would put gaffer tape around the front of the car to hold things in place when it drives past the camera. And you could see all this.
Mad, isn't it? That, like, they got away with sort of doing all that. And it
worked for the time.
Well, yeah, like, for the time, it's different, isn't it? But, like, you'd never get away with stuff like that now, would you?
No, because like a stock Trans Am, same as these kit cars, had the they call the turn signals. We have the indicator lights just underneath the lip of the bonnet or the hood, and they covered them over with like a black perspex. Well, these would start to sag over time, but when the car was driving at speed, they would start to lift and flap. So that's some things where you can see the car come past the camera. They've taped them down with 2 strips of black gaffer tape either side of the front bumper.
Well, and it looks like obvious that
you can see something's different there. When you pause it and look at it, you can see a strip of gaffer tape across the one cover and then across the other cover. But then they remoulded the front bumpers for season 2 onwards from like fiberglass, and they put the indentations in, but they weren't actually a separate piece. They were all part of the main bumper, so it still looked the same, but they didn't actually, nothing moved. It was all in place. And for season 4, they got rid of the indentations, a different front bumper again that fitted flush to the front of the car. So that's why the cars kept changing all the time. Different bumpers, different styles of noses, different size of scanners. They could see all that quite obviously. When you watch the show quite a lot, you can see all the different variations the car went through on that front nose. Okay. It did change quite a bit.
Oh, yeah, like, so if I watched it, and now, like, which I've watched like a few clips in that, but I don't think I'd notice all these.
You would do if you watched it over time. Yeah. I was watching it back then. I watched it later as I got older, and I still watch clips now. And then when it's pointed out, like, like the Night Ride historians who go into all this really particular detail. It's great to know all these things and why these things look different.
Yeah.
And what the changes, why they had to make these changes to the cars to upgrade it and do different things.
It's interesting, really, isn't it? Knowing like the story behind it and like sort of, I like the stuff, lots of the stuff that you're not supposed to see or know.
Yeah.
But it's always quite interesting to learn about and see it and like spot all these little like stuff in the actual episodes, isn't it?
Like the interior of the truck tray, the semi tray, was actually on stage at Universal. It wasn't actually in the back of the truck because they could take all the walls down to put the cameras from whatever angle they wanted. But on occasions, if they didn't frame the shot correctly, they're looking down one angle of the trailer. You can see the edge of the wall where they've removed it, and you can actually see into the studio itself.
Oh, really?
There's a few mil at the edge of the shop where you can see into the studio. So not actually on the back of the truck, because the interior set was slightly wider than the actual trailer itself. It was more square, the shape, whereas the trailer was obviously more rectangular, top to bottom.
Yeah.
And things like that. But yeah, all these little things you can spot. But they didn't. All these finer details didn't seem so important with the shows back then. There was continuity errors with things and recycling stock footage that was used from previous episodes. That was a mistake if the driver was in the car, or the A-Team, for example. Yeah, they got different clothes on in one scene. They show a drive-by and they're wearing different clothes again. And they go back to inside the vehicle and they're back to what they're wearing. Yeah. Just recycle stock footage, which you wouldn't get away with now.
That's not stuff like you really look out for.
No.
Back then, especially.
No, it wasn't.
Like, because it's a lot more about the story, isn't it? Like you're watching it because you want to see.
Oh yeah.
Like Kit do all these jumps and everything. Like you want to. Like you're out there looking for the action, aren't you? Like you want the action. You're not bothered if he's got a different coloured jumper on.
Oh no, just to show that whoever did the editing back at the studio either wasn't thinking what they were doing, or they didn't care.
Yeah. It just wasn't as important, was it?
No, it's like the license plate, the registration plate on the A-Team van did change quite a few times throughout the course of the whole series. But again, with one episode where they filming a chase sequence, they obviously filmed footage for that episode and then cut in with recycled stock footage from the previous 2 seasons. The plate on the van changes 3 times within minutes.
Oh, really?
3 different plates on the van because they've used recycled stock footage.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? I think it's funny. It's funny though, isn't it? But
yeah,
it's good to go back and watch them. Like to try and spot all these different little mistakes.
Oh, they're just
and it kind of keeps you into it a bit more, doesn't it? Because you want to find where they've messed up or where they forgot to hide something. Or
it was all best shows back then. They watched them for fun. Yeah, the fun shows to watch, kept the viewers coming in, and just a fun time on TV back in those days.
Yeah,
it's what you've got now. You've got a whole choice of things now.
Oh yeah, exactly. You got that. There's loads, isn't there? You've got like an infinite amount of different genres, different everything, haven't you?
Yeah. So it was a fun era. I always look back and go at that 7:30 slot at night during the week when all these shows are on. It's like I call it the golden hour. That was the good old days when I was growing up. You don't get that.
I kind of wish I was around then and I got to like live that life.
It was fun. That's all the toys you could buy in the shops as well. There's so many different things from all these shows, different versions of the vehicles. Because back in those days, all those shows, the main characters always had an iconic vehicle to drive around in.
Yeah.
All these different shows, going back into the 70s with Rockford Files with his Pontiac Firebird. Obviously, Knight Rider was about a car. The Fall Guy had a GMC pickup truck. The A-Team van with a GMC Vendura. Magnum PI with the Ferrari. All these iconic vehicles, head of the show sort of thing.
Yeah, it's about the vehicle, really, isn't it?
Not Magnum. A Ferrari, someone driving a Ferrari around Hawaii. What's not to like about that?
Well, exactly. It's like living the dream, isn't it?
Yeah, when you're watching that over here in winter in the UK, and you got all the Hawaiian beaches and all the scenery there, and this Ferrari is zipping down all the streets.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
The dream, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so should we leave it at this?
Now? Okay, it's fine. Yeah. Thanks for having me back. Yeah.
We'll have you on again, and maybe we'll go into even more.
Yeah, sure.
More detail about everything else.
Yeah.
And I'd like to talk more about like professionals, the A-Team and stuff. If you want to talk about any of that.
Yeah, it'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look forward to it.
Okay. Nice one.
Yeah,
thanks Andy. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. No problem.